Okay, continuing on with your test, we're now on question 4. Daniel wrote down the number of minutes his phone call lasted. So these are all different phone calls that he made, and this is how long he spent on the phone. So you can see this first one here, he spent 8 minutes, 10 minutes, 16 minutes, 3 minutes, and so on. And it says fill in the frequency table below. And frequency, it just means how many times has it occurred, but you also need to add in a tally chart as well. So the first one is any number between 1 and 10. So how many numbers are between 1 and 10? So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you put your stroke through like that, 6, 7, 8, 9, when it comes to 10, put your stroke through. So to represent 2 5s, we have our 2 tallies here showing that. And so beside it, I can write that the frequency here is 10. You then follow the exact same process and fill out the numbers between 11 and 20, and so on and so forth. And by the end, your tally should look something like this. Question 5, a market research company is conducting a survey to find out whether the most people had a holiday in Ireland, elsewhere in Europe, or the rest of the world last year. It also wants to know if they stayed in self-catering accommodation, hotels, or went camping. Design 2 questions and responses that could be used in the questionnaire to find out this information. So you want to find out 2 things. The first is where most people had a holiday in Ireland, whether it was in Europe, the rest of the world, but where their holiday was. That's the first thing. The second thing you want to find out is where they stayed. So did they stay in self-catering accommodation, hotels, or camping? They are the 2 things you want to find out. You need to write a question that will allow you to find that information out, and a response is an option that somebody can select. So here I have a student who got 7 out of 8 in this question, so a very good mark. And their first question was, did you, now presumably this should be go abroad last year, please specify. And the response that you could have picked Europe, America, Africa, or other. Now, the reason why this student only got 3 marks is because you were asked in the question to find whether most people had a holiday in Ireland, in Europe, or in the rest of the world. So really the options there should be Ireland. So you can see here that the correct response would have been Ireland, have a box for them to tick, Europe have the box for them to tick, rest of the world have a box, and other. And that would have gotten you your 4 marks there. Question number 2, this student got 4 out of 4 because they said, where did you stay? So if you were on holidays last year, where did you stay? And they have hotel, camping, self-catering accommodation, and other. So they have asked exactly what we need to know. The next part of your test asks, what is bias? And any type of explanation here would have gotten you your marks. We're really looking for the use of something that is unfair. Some could give an example here to explain how something could be unfair. And we spoke about having a dice where the sides are the same, or having a fixed coin. All of those things would be example of a bias. And so you would have gotten your marks there for that. The next word is sample. What is a sample? Well, first of all, a sample is selected from a population. Okay, so we say it's selected from a population at random, but then we would always back it up with an example. So most people here didn't really give a full explanations here because they didn't add in an example. So I'd like you to do that as well. Okay, question 6 was the last question on the exam paper, and it was worth a lot of marks. So question 6 would have given you nearly 30 marks. So it is a stem and leaf diagram. Here are the marks of a class test displayed in a stem and leaf diagram. Examine this and answer the following questions. So how many students were in the class? So you're just looking at your stem and leaf and you're trying to count it up. And so you can just count the leaves here. That will help you. And if I count them up, you should get 20. The lowest mark of the test, well, it's represented up here by 26. What is the difference between the lowest and the highest? So the highest is 75. So 75 minus 26 will give you 49. So 49 was the answer there. And this one asked for the mean result. So how do you calculate the mean? You add up all your results and you divide them by the number of values. So really here you should have been adding 26 plus 28 plus 33 plus, and you can see where I'm getting them, 37 plus the next one is 39. And you keep going on, you add up all of those numbers, and you divide that total by the number of values or the number of people. And in this case, we already know that it's 20. The last part here says there are 30 members of a club. Their ages are shown in a frequency table. Find the mean, mode, and percentages. So first of all, well, I could do the mode very easily. The mode is the one that happens the most often. And you can see that there are 4 12-year-olds, there are 5 13-year-olds, there are 8 14-year-olds, and there are 9 15-year-olds. So the mode here is 15. The mean, another way I can write this frequency table, if I write it to the side here, is there are 4 12-year-olds. So that really means 12, 12, 12, and 12. And then there are 5 13-year-olds, so 13, 13, 13, 13, 13. And I could continue on like this, write out all my values. And how do I find the mean? Well, I add up all my values and I divide them by the number of values. So how many people were there? And in this question here, you can see there were 30 members. The percentage of members who have less ages than the mean, well, once you find out the mean, you're going to tell me exactly how many people are younger than the mean. Put that answer over 30 and multiply it by 100. Okay, so remember your tests need to be signed tonight and corrected fully.